I'm Naomi McPherson. I'm a lecturer of Japanese at Brown University in Rhode Island. This presentation will showcase how a virtual exchange experience enhances the learning journey of beginning Japanese learners. And I am one of the participants of the global talk that Okubo-sensei has just presented, and I will explore its role in fostering intercultural communication skills and mutual understanding through the global talk. Throughout my discussion, I will elaborate on how this virtual exchange can effectively complement traditional textbook-based learning, empowering and motivating students in the early stages of language acquisition. So I'll begin with examining the traditional language learning approach before transitioning to the outcomes of virtual exchanges with the NOC students who participate in the global talk as introduced earlier. First, I'll discuss the time and effort invested in traditional Japanese classroom learning. Illustrated by a pyramid here also reflects students' voices frequently heard. More time and efforts are spent on grammar and vocabulary learning, as students also often say they want to learn vocabulary and grammar so that they can speak or communicate in Japanese. But at the same time, they find it very difficult to learn or memorize vocabulary that is not relevant to themselves. Despite the evolving pedagogical approach, emphasizing communication and meaningful content, course syllabi tend to prioritize quizzes and tests often. So while it's necessary to build a foundation of vocabulary and grammar for effective communication, the question arises, so how long must students wait before achieving perfect or successful communication in a target language? Language learning, like any new endeavor, demands stepping beyond the comfort zone, a sentiment often echoed in study abroad experiences. So can the same principle be applied to language learning within the classroom? Despite the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, it catalyzed a positive shift in foreign language instruction through rapid technological development. This progress facilitated remote connectivity, bringing learners worldwide together for language education. Even for instructors unaccustomed to online learning myself, this advancement provided new opportunities. Having previously experienced the benefits in an advanced course, I eagerly initiated conversations with the NOC English Network's global talk when tasked with coordinating our first-year Japanese course for fall 2022. I was ready to integrate the exchange, only to discover that few beginning level courses had participated in the global talk. Now, I will talk about how I designed the first-year Japanese course. According to an article titled Making Assignments Worth Grading by the Woodward and Anderson, the way to save time, make every moment count, and integrate grading, learning, and motivation is to plan your grading from the first moment you begin planning the course, and consider not only how you will shape the goals, but how your students will. So inspired by this approach, I was able to focus on the two assignments to achieve one of the course objectives, enhancing of communication skills. These assignments, the Knox-Brown exchanges and the final project carried respective weights of 15% and 12% respectively in the overall course grade. To encapsulate the essence of the global talk activity, I labeled it Knox-Brown exchanges in the syllabus, emphasizing its nature as a mutual collaborative communication activity. As for exchanges, I introduced two asynchronous exchanges and one synchronous Zoom meeting. Homework assignments and assessments are created as preparation to complete those two activities successfully. And reflection played a crucial role in the learning process, with the students submitting reflections after each assignment. Additionally, students established objectives for upcoming assignments, and the final reflection prompted them to think about goals extending into the next course. And to ensure clarity and guidance, all assignment instructions, including rubrics, were readily accessible on Canvas assignment pages. I decided to incorporate the Knox-Brown exchanges as I believe that experiential learning would make a difference in terms of learners' motivation. Now I will discuss how experiential learning is applied to the Knox-Brown exchanges. According to Kolb, learning is the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. Experiential learning in this context is a targeted pursuit of understanding the nuances of the Japanese language, culture, and intercultural communication. Simultaneously, it facilitates self-awareness and insights into one's own learning process through reflective assignments. So this experiential learning process unfolds with the acquisition of new knowledge, providing students with opportunities for exploration and dedicated time for thinking about their next goals. The insights gained are then brought into the classroom, where feedback from instructors and peers refines their understanding. Importantly, these insights can become valuable for future exchanges and learning. So when facilitated effectively, this process drives learners beyond their comfort zone, encouraging meaningful engagement with new concepts and serving as a powerful motivation for ongoing learning. So with that hope, I created a new syllabus for my beginning Japanese course for the fall 2023. This college-level course incorporates a widely used traditional Japanese textbook popular in North America, while maintaining the core objectives that are commonly shared among first-year Japanese course syllabi. The updates aim to infuse a fresh perspective and incorporate lessons learned from the experiential learning approach and worth grading assignments approach. So the grading criteria, however, has been drastically changed from the previous ones, focusing on the two main assignments as experienced earlier. When I first incorporated the Knox-Brown exchanges in 2022, it weighed only 5%, but it was increased to 15% in 2023. I have successfully facilitated the Knox-Brown exchanges twice, and in this presentation, I will focus on the second one completed last fall. In the fall of 2022, 73 students enrolled, and in the fall of 2023, there were 64 enrolled in my first-year Japanese course. The structure involved two asynchronous assignments on VoiceThread preceding a synchronous meeting concluded on Zoom. Reflections were sought after each exchange. The initial asynchronous task, a self-introduction, was assigned approximately a month after the semester started in the US. Subsequently, about a month later, students engaged in a 1-minute presentation discussing their daily lives and favorite places and spaces. The synchronous Zoom meeting occurred 2 weeks after the second asynchronous exchange that happened to be the end of Thanksgiving weekend in November. So it was, one way it was good, but in some ways it was a little bit annoying for the students, but it worked well. And emphasis was placed on the importance of enjoying conversation without fear of making mistakes. By this point, beginning Japanese learners had acquired the ability to discuss various topics such as daily routines, past experiences, family favorite activities, and places. Notably, we introduced an optional synchronous meeting right before the semester's end. Despite the busy period, 70 students from the US and 30 Knox students participated. For this optional meeting, No teachers were present except for one emergency situation where a NOX teacher stepped in for an absent student at the last minute. So in the initial asynchronous exchange, students introduced themselves in both languages, first in their partner's target language and then in their own. Each student engaged with at least two counterparts, asking questions and making comments. At this point, my students, beginning Japanese learners, had just acquired knowledge of Japanese phonetic characters and basic sentence structures such as X is Y and X is not Y. Conversely, NOX students, having studied English for at least 6 years because it is a mandatory subject for 3 years in both middle school and high school in Japan, demonstrated advanced proficiency. In the second exchange, they talked about their everyday life using a slide. They were introduced, they were instructed to use images that were interesting or attractive to the counterparts. And they commented and replied to each other's posts in the same manner as the first exchange. And in the final exchange, the synchronous Zoom meeting, the students formed small groups of 3 to 4 individuals comprising a couple of NOX students and 2 to 3 Brown students. Within the 1-hour duration, they participated in 2 25-minute meetings, each with new group assignments. During the first 10 minutes of each meeting, communication was restricted solely in Japanese, transitioning to English for the last 15 minutes. Although not everyone could meet those with those who exchanged comments during the asynchronous exchanges due to the sign-up limitations, some were fortunate to reconnect. And according to my students' reflections, they talked about various topics, including everyday routines, favorite food, anime, artist, educational system, and regional dialects, local attractions, and many more. So now I will share some of my students' comments from the survey. In the graphs, the results from the last year's survey are also included to provide just some comparisons. The first question gauges the usefulness of asynchronous assignments. A notable difference emerges between this year's and last year's results, with the students this year expressing a higher appreciation for the asynchronous activities compared to the previous year. One student highlighted the value of asynchronous tasks in providing them with the opportunity to repeatedly practice the script until it was memorized, contributing to improvements in grammar and pronunciation skills. Additionally, students mentioned actively looking up and learning unfamiliar phrases by listening to several NOX students' videos, leading to an expansion to their vocabulary. Next questions are about the synchronous Zoom meeting. And combining agree and strongly agree, the majority of students enjoyed their conversations with NOX students during the Zoom meeting. Furthermore, students concurred that they learned about college life, culture, and contemporary Japan during these interactions. And they were equally able to share their own experiences, partly because the NOX students' English was more advanced. An intriguing comment surfaced expressing joy in discovering the numerous similarities as Asian students, while gaining a deeper understanding of Japanese people and their culture was also mentioned. As for the question regarding their fear of making mistake, over 70% of my students expressed that they actively engaged in communication with NOX students without being afraid of making mistakes. While we consistently emphasize in class that making mistakes is a natural part of the learning process, it is evident that some students still benefit from additional reassurance of being reminded in this regard. And this graph illustrates that nearly 80% of individuals encountered miscommunications during the Zoom meeting. The challenges were met with diverse strategies, including clarification in English, rephrasing, and asked to repeat, mostly in English. Given the advanced English proficiency of NOC students, beginning learners tended to rely on English to clarify meaning. However, it's worth noting that their efforts extended to mutual assistance in resolving issues, occasionally diffusing situations with laughter and lightening the mood. In summary, the beginning of Japanese learners universally found exchanges with NOC students to be beneficial for both language and cultural learning. Moreover, students' comments reveal that exchanges played a crucial role in boosting their motivation to learn Japanese. Additionally, the experiences were instrumental in exploring diverse topics beyond the target language as reflected in the following survey results. The exchanges with NOC students have proven highly successful in motivating beginning Japanese learners, as evident from the positive outcomes shown here. And here is some compilation of goals that many students mentioned in their reflections. The encounters with Japanese students and exposure to numerous unfamiliar words prompted a significant number of students to express a commitment to working on vocabulary as a key goal in the next course in Japanese 200. And moreover, the motivation to learn vocabulary for self-description emerged as crucial goal at this level. Instead of a broad term like daily conversation, one Japanese learner was able to specify the specific language needed to communicate effectively with partners in the target country. And these goals underscored the understanding of the language. Language acquisition extends beyond textbook learning. The opportunity to communicate with native speakers with an emphasis on real communication proves instrumental in enhancing the motivation of beginning Japanese learners. So analyzing the reflection of comments and survey results, the global talk or NOC Brown exchanges, as denoted in my beginning Japanese course syllabus, emerges as a powerful tool. It not only facilitates a more meaningful understanding of the target language and culture, but also promotes self-awareness of the learning process. In the realm of cultural learning, the exchanges transcend the mere understanding of differences emphasized in textbooks. Japanese learners in the US discovered numerous similarities as college students, fostering a richer cultural appreciation. Experiential learning further amplifies motivation to explore new topics. While the beginning Japanese learners value the opportunity to converse in the target language with native speakers, their interest extends to understanding each other, whether in Japanese or English, as reflected in their goals outlined in their reflections. In essence, the global talk or online exchanges between NOC students and my beginning Japanese learners not only complements but surpasses traditional textbook-based learning. It empowers students in the early stages of language learning, providing a holistic and enriching language learning experience. So in conclusion, the virtual exchanges encompassing the both asynchronous and synchronous components proved to be not only effective but also highly meaningful for beginning level Japanese learners. This experiential learning journey serves as a powerful motivator, inspiring learners to acquire the target language for genuine communication and mutual understanding. Furthermore, it addresses a crucial gap in existing textbooks and classroom learning by introducing the diversity of language, the target country, people, and its people. Looking ahead to future practices, the emphasis on clear instructions, especially because of the time difference and what to do, including the language proficiency levels of participants also, and proactive efforts to increase the frequency of communication between partners can enhance mutual understanding and foster longer lasting relationships among participants. In fact, some students went to Japan and they were able to meet with some of NOC's partners. So that was an excellent achievement. For the future, I would like to explore more engagements between the students, but sustainable for all parties, as Ms. Okwa said. However, despite the challenges posed by time difference and unexpected events, I believe that virtual exchanges are extremely beneficial and effective for language learners. And I'm delighted to have found partners like Global Talk to continue this enriching experience. So that's all I have, and thank you for listening.